The sun burned over the ancient city of Gath-Hepher, and a restless man named Jonah paced the rooftop of his home. He was a prophet chosen, called, and often conflicted, though he had spoken for God before. This time, the call felt unbearable, for the voice of the Lord came to him, saying, "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me." Jonah froze. Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, infamous for cruelty and idolatry. Its people were enemies of Israel, feared by all. He could not imagine bringing them mercy. "No," he muttered. "They deserve judgment, not forgiveness." But the divine command echoed in his mind, unshakable as thunder rolling across a quiet sky. That night, Jonah made his decision. He would run from the command, from his calling, even from God himself. He packed what little he owned and slipped through the city gates before dawn, determined to flee as far as the earth would take him. His destination was Tarshish, a distant port city across the sea, at the edge of the known world. If God's voice had come to him in Israel, perhaps it would not follow him there. The thought gave Jonah a false sense of relief, a fragile peace built on rebellion. The smell of salt and tar filled the harbor of Joppa as Jonah approached. Merchants shouted, gulls screeched, and sailors loaded cargo bound for far-off lands. Jonah found a ship headed to Tarshish and paid his fare quickly, desperate to depart before conviction could change his mind. The captain, a grizzled Phoenician with weathered eyes, accepted his payment without question. "A quiet voyage," Jonah requested, forcing a smile. "I need rest." The captain nodded, unaware that his newest passenger carried the attention of heaven itself. As the ship left port, Jonah felt the first breath of freedom. The coastline faded into mist, and the prophet leaned against the railing, whispering, "I'm far from Nineveh now." But somewhere deep within, his conscience stirred uneasily like a storm brewing beyond sight. Days passed peacefully. The sea shimmered under the sun, and the sailors sang ancient songs to the rhythm of the waves. Jonah thought, perhaps he had succeeded. Maybe God would find another prophet to carry his message. But God had not forgotten Jonah. As night fell, dark clouds gathered on the horizon, thick as ink. The wind howled, snapping sails and rattling ropes. The sea churned with fury, tossing the ship like a leaf in a tempest. The sailors shouted in terror, each crying out to his own God. Barrels rolled, masts creaked, and lightning split the heavens. The captain ordered the cargo thrown overboard to lighten the load, but the storm only grew worse. Amid the chaos, Jonah lay below deck, fast asleep. His slumber was not peaceful but heavy with guilt. The captain found him and shouted above the wind, "Sleeper, what meanest thou? Arise, call upon thy God, that we perish not." Jonah's heart sank. He knew this was no ordinary storm, it was divine pursuit. Reluctantly, he climbed to the deck, rain lashing his face. The sailors cast lots to see who had brought this disaster upon them, and the lot fell upon Jonah. "Tell us," they demanded. "What is your occupation? From where do you come? Who are your people?" Jonah's voice trembled. "I am a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." The sailors recoiled. "You fear the God who made the sea, and yet you flee from him upon it?" Their fear turned to desperation. The waves rose higher, threatening to break the ship apart. Jonah stepped forward, his eyes filled with sorrow. "I know this storm is because of me. Throw me into the sea, and it will be calm." They hesitated, unwilling to bear his blood, but the tempest raged stronger until they cried, "Forgive us, O Lord," and cast Jonah into the depths. Instantly, the sea grew still. The rain ceased. The wind died. The sailors stared in awe at the sudden calm, and they offered sacrifices to the God of Jonah, fearing his power. Beneath the surface, Jonah plunged into darkness. The water closed over him, and he felt his lungs burn. Just as consciousness began to fade, a shadow moved through the depths, a massive creature, ordained by God. The great fish opened its mouth, and Jonah was swallowed whole. Inside, he fell into suffocating darkness, surrounded by the echo of his own heartbeat and the slow, rhythmic pulse of the creature's movement. For 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah lived in the belly of the beast. He could neither escape nor die. In that prison of flesh and salt, he faced the truth: he could not outrun the creator of the universe. In the suffocating gloom, Jonah began to pray. Out of the belly of hell cried I unto thee, and thou heardest my voice. The waters compassed me about, even to the soul. Yet I will look again toward thy holy temple. His words rose from the depths, piercing through sea and sky. God, in his mercy, heard the repentant heart of his runaway prophet. On the 3rd day, the fish swam toward the shore. With a violent heave, it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Drenched and trembling, Jonah gasped for breath, feeling both rebuked and reborn. The voice of the Lord came to him again, calm, steady, unyielding. Arise, go unto Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the message that I bid thee. This time, Jonah did not argue. He rose and set his face toward Nineveh. The journey was long and silent. Jonah's heart wrestled between gratitude and dread. He had faced the wrath of the sea. Now he must face the hearts of men. When he reached Nineveh, he was overwhelmed by its size. Towers stretched high, and markets bustled with life. Its people were proud, ruthless, and unaware of the doom that loomed over them. Jonah walked through the streets and cried, "Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown." His voice carried like a blade through the crowd, drawing fear and curiosity. To his astonishment, the message took root. Word reached the king of Nineveh, who rose from his throne, covered himself in sackcloth, and decreed fasting and repentance for all, even the animals. The city that had once defied heaven now fell to its knees. Men wept in the streets. Women prayed in whispers. Their cries reached the throne of God, and his mercy was stirred. God saw their repentance and withheld destruction. The fires of judgment turned to forgiveness. Nineveh was spared, but Jonah, instead of rejoicing, burned with anger. "Was not this my saying, Lord?" he cried. "I fled to Tarshish because I knew thou art gracious and merciful, slow to anger and of great kindness. I knew you would spare them." He left the city in bitterness, building a small shelter east of Nineveh. There he sat, waiting, hoping God might still destroy it. The sun beat upon him, and his heart grew weary. In compassion, God caused a leafy vine to grow overnight, shading Jonah from the scorching heat. The prophet sighed with relief and rested beneath it, grateful for the comfort. But at dawn, God sent a worm that withered the plant. The sun rose fierce, and the east wind burned Jonah's skin. He groaned, saying, "It is better for me to die than to live." Then God spoke gently. "Thou hast had pity on the plant, for which thou hast not labored. Should not I spare Nineveh, that great city, wherein are more than 120,000 souls who cannot discern their right hand from their left?" Jonah sat in silence, the waves of truth washing over him. He had tried to outrun God, but discovered that mercy runs faster than judgment, and love reaches farther than rebellion. The story of the runaway prophet became a timeless reminder that no one can flee from the presence of God, and that even the deepest ocean cannot drown his grace.